into the Divagona Nitra festival before?
No, never. It's my first time. It's not my first time in the city. In the 70s, I used to go across Nitra by car.
So how do you feel here?
I really enjoy the festival a lot because I learned a lot, and I find that the topic was exactly what I was trying to read about, and it was a kind of synthesis of everything which I had somehow heard about. But I'm also interested in Eastern European secret police, so it was a very good way of getting all this information, and looking at these things through the theatre is even, of course, for me more interesting.
So does it mean that the festival already has a name in the...
It definitely has a name. I could never make it until this year for many reasons, but I'm very happy that I was invited to join this year. And the topic was just perfect for me.
So how do you find the concept of the Parallel Lives project?
I think it was very well planned, it was very well thought of, it was very well organized, and the variety, which really correspond to the variety of different countries, different types of police, was very impressive and very productive.
Yeah, is the dealing with the national history like common or general tendency nowadays theater?
Well, this is not something which is done usually, as far as I can tell. It can be done here in Europe because there was a kind of Eastern European and Eastern socialist countries identity. You can compare these different things, so it makes it much easier. Very much more difficult to compare secret police in Korea and in Russia and in Latin America. It would be more difficult. Here there's a kind of people are still around, and they can be really better understood.
We're talking about a comeback of a documentary theater nowadays. Could you please compare this new wave of the documentary theater with the forms from the past?
I think the documentary theatre of today is more open to working with experimental forms, to using other types of acting techniques, of not being completely obsessed by the exactness of facts and quotation. I think it has become much more open, and that's what I think makes it for me much more attractive than the documentary theatre of the 60s, 70s, like Peter Weiss theatre or many other types of theatre. And I think also it's this brand of different kinds of documentary theatre I saw was pretty unique for this part of the world, and it's very different from other attempts in other parts of the world, like verbatim theatre in Britain is something, I think, different.
According to the Parallel Lives performances, which strategies did the theatre makers use?
Well, we'll have to go through all these different examples. One strategy was to quote directly from the archives. One strategy was to write a play using allusion to the archives. Another strategy was to use music, to use choreography, to really make access to the archive more interesting, more artistic. Basically, it's about using more or less artistic means instead of just giving the facts. Like you're recording something, it's really direct and it's not interesting, it's just terrible. But if you use artistic means, then it makes it really much more interesting for the audience. It becomes an artistic work of art. It becomes a work of art.
In the Slovenian performance, we've seen this strategy of responsibility. The spectators got this power.
Well, I was not very convinced by that. I don't think that my responsibility will be shown if I accept that my identity card should be cut. I think it's just a very cheap way of being having the impression to be very responsible. I think but it was just an idea, I guess, to make people become aware that there are different degrees of responsibility, and feeling addressed, but it was not really taken at first as a kind of a direct statement. It was more a metaphor for something.
So do you think this could be a new way to make a political theatre?
I think so. I think political theatre really will profit from all these different documentary forms, and the other way around, because there's other ways of doing politics and other ways of doing activism, which maybe also should be flowing into the artistic work of theatre too. So that's definitely an exchange between political and documentary aesthetic theatre. Tak ďakujem pekne za pozvánku, sa mi tešila vedieť byť tu. Videl som mnohé veci, mi páčilo. A to bolo ako čítať doma, ale lepšie, pretože všade boli ľudia a to nebolo tak smutné byť sami doma a čítať knihy. Tak ďakujem pekne.